panel where we discuss movies and films that deliberate on South Korea's hot topics. I'm Hannah, one of your co-hosts.
I'm Whitney.
I'm Kaylee.
I'm Jeanette.
And today we have special guests director Yeon Sang-ho and author Lee Gang-gu.
Hi, I'm one of your co-hosts, Whitney, and today I will be catching you up on the historical context. In 1992, Kim Young-sam, who joined then Roh-tae-woo ruling coalition, was elected South Korea's first civilian president since the 1961 military coup. The economy flourished and GDP grew rapidly from the 1980s until 1997. However, in 1997, the Asian financial crisis hit and hurt many economies throughout Asia, including South Korea. Many economists and international organizations, such as the IMF, argue that structural problems of the old state-led growth model brought the collapse of the economy. According to them, the cause of the 1997 crisis was excessive and inefficient investment by Korean corporate groups, the chaebol. This was aggravated by the old state-led development model, whereby the government continued to support an efficient big business. Another reason for the collapse was external. Japan, Korea's most important export market, fell into recession in 1996, and the Japanese yen depreciated strongly against the dollar and therefore against the won. The won depreciated by 47%. Post-crisis reconstruction weakened the growth potential of the economy and worsened social disparity, which brought about the vicious cycle of lower growth and high inequality. In late November 1997, a team of IMF economists was rushed to Seoul to negotiate the terms of a massive bailout package, with the design of restoring health and stability to Korean economy. They provided a $60 million bailout to South Korea. During negotiations, the next presidential election was held in December 1997. This time, Kim Dae-jung was elected president, his fourth attempt at the presidency since 1971, when he was defeated by Park Chung-hee. Under Kim Dae-jung's presidency, the South Korean economy made a substantial recovery from the 1997-1998 financial crisis. Democratic institutions were further developed, and South Korea pursued a policy of engagement and dialogue with the North. Now we'll head over to Jeanette, where she is interviewing author Lee Gang-gu.
Jeanette here. Joining me today on Seoul Corner is Mr. Lee.
Thank you for having me.
Mr. Lee, I know you're fluent in English, but I also hear that you're fluent in other languages as well.
Well, I am also fluent in Korean and Japanese. Korean because that is my native tongue, and Japanese because I teach at Musumiken University, which is in Japan. Truthfully, I consider myself to be fluent in economics as well.
Riveting. Can you please tell us a bit more about yourself and your whereabouts you're growing up?
Well, I was born in Korea and attended Seoul University. I have been studying the effect of globalization extensively for a long period of time. Recently, the global economy has changed so fast with more international capital flows and trade flows. This trend, so-called globalization, provides a serious challenge as well as opportunity to developing countries. I am studying its implication to growth, distribution, and poverty. I have been interested in experiences in East Asian countries. I also received my PhD in economics from the University of Massachusetts in 2004.
And Mr. Lee, what made you decide to write Neoliberalism, the Financial Crisis, and Economic Restructuring in Korea?
Good question. Well, I had this idea of the effects of financial globalization on poverty and distribution in developing countries, wherein this research examines complex effects of financial globalization on income, distribution, and poverty in developing countries. I will develop theoretical frameworks, empirical study using international data sets, and more expensive case studies on several developing countries. It will contribute to the current study on problems of financial globalization and its reform.
So I have always found economics to be extremely interesting, but my question to you is, which is more important, economics without politics or politics without economics?
Wow. Well, I would have to say politics and economics go hand in hand. From politics point of view, economics are tools for economic point of view. politics are tools. So the most important is a matter of point of view. For capital owners, politics are means to gain more capital. For politicians, capital are means to gain more power.
Interesting. Mr. Lee, in your paper you stated that the current Korean economy is now facing with another severe trial 10 years after the 1997 financial crisis. This is, of course, related with the global financial crisis, but the structural causes of Korea's recent financial fragility lies in extensive financial opening and the foreign debt-dependent growth strategy. The current financial turmoil demonstrates problematic features of neoliberal economic restructuring and all-out capital account liberalization after 1997, which made the Korean financial sector vulnerable again. Mr. Lee, can you please elaborate on this statement?
It is quite simple. The market-oriented financial reform and excessive financial opening in terms of their failure to promote investment and economic stability. Given the problems of the current financial system, we must make efforts to establish the more stable and public financial system and should introduce effective financial regulation and capital controls with the more active role of the state for national economic management in Korea. The Korean economy needs to adopt more balanced and domestic demand-led growth strategy in the medium and long term, although the Korean government appears not to have learned it. The crucial lesson from the Korean experience is that taking this alternative approach is what has to be done.
I see. Thank you so much. And any closing remarks?
Yes, actually. I am currently focused on global imbalances and the global financial crisis, so please visit my personal homepage for further information on what I am up to if you would like to contribute in any way. Thank you all.
Hannah, back to you in the studios to interview Yang Sam-ho.
As always, coming at you with South Korea's newest and latest films that catch our eye. On today's Seoul Corner, we have a pleasure of talking with director Yeon Sang-ho, mastermind behind the 2016 Seoul Train. Yeon, born in 1978, graduated from Sangmyeon University with a degree in Western painting. Yeon's first cinematic release was animation The King of Pigs, which was praised for its raw portrayal of violence, bullying, and systematic poverty. His other works, which include The Window and the Fake, center on corruption of state, explore innate human nature, and question governmental norms, all of which gathered traction and led up to the development of his most recent success and popular grossing film, Seoul Station. So, prequel to his Train to Busan box office success, of which grossed at $87.5 million worldwide, Yeon Seoul Station takes our highlight of the evening. The 92-minute animation was released on August 18, 2016, and was first showcased at the 2016 Edinburgh International Film Festival. Now, let's get into the details of the film itself. So, for those of you who haven't watched it, spoiler alert. In Seoul Train, we are welcomed with a detailed look into the desolate lives of the Korean homeless community and the class discrimination in South Korea. The movie takes place in and around Seoul Station, where the audience is first exposed to a homeless man who appears critically injured at the neck and is also the source of the zombie outbreak. With the spread of zombies growing around the city, moviegoers are now introduced to the main protagonist of the film. We have a young runaway woman named Hae-sun who recently escaped her former life in a brothel, her pathetic boyfriend Kyung, who is jobless and can't make ends meet, and her Hae-sun's supposed father is Seok-yu. Hae-sun and Kyung live together and don't have enough financially, and so in order to make money, Kyung creates an online ad to pimp out his girlfriend and basically sell her for sex. The two break out into an argument over the online ad, and it's here where they separate. During this time, Seok-yu ends up finding the online ad, and then he traces down Kyung to find out where his long-lost daughter was. It is here where the story emerges more than with the zombie threat. In and around the area, swarms of zombies are found to be spreading and are infected. And so Hae-sung is traveling on her own, trying to find a safe space. But in the end, all three of them encounter zombies and experience life-threatening situations. In the film, one of the most climactic scenes is where you see the regular people be physically separated from the police. The police are shooting at anyone who tries to climb over the train because they think they're just simple insurrectionists or rioters. But more often than not, they are trying to escape the zombie threat. And while the three try to survive, they're finally reunited towards the end. It is then revealed that Seokyu is not actually Haesung's biological father, but rather her former sugar daddy, which is why he says that Haesung is or calls her daddy. How's that for a plot twist? But trying to protect her, Kyung dies, and Haesung ends up passing out due to a scratch on her foot, and later reanimates into a zombie and kills Seokyu. So the entire story of Seoul Station takes us on a whirlwind of a ride. Now joining us, we have the director himself, Yeon Sang-ho. You can join me over here. Can you please tell us more about the film and the deeper meaning, if any, in this amazing animated zombie film?
Sure. Hi, I'm Yeon Sang-ho, the director of the movie Seoul Station. Today I'm delighted to be here to talk about my movie. And I want my horror movie to mirror the society in which audience live. This strongly determines how much they will enjoy my movie. It was important for me to represent characters from all walks of life. The film Seoul Station is cynical about government having the interests of citizens at heart. In my opinion, the onset of tragedy in a society is when the public authority abandons its people in the pursuit of power. Like what you can see from Seoul Station, it is seen mostly through the city's lowliest, such as teen runaway Haesung and her unemployed boyfriend, Ki-won. When Haesung is fleeing the zombies with a group of homeless people, runs into a police station. Instead of trusting them, the cops scold at them for their smell and move to eject them. The selfishness of the authority and their lack of concern for people is what I want to pursue. Those whose job is to protect people, the administrators, the police, the militaries, are busy covering up their mistakes or preoccupied with protecting property and the civil order. My other abandoning theme is the family and how fragmented the unit has become recently. In Seoul Station, a teenage girl is estranged from her parents must survive on her own. The breakdown of society in the face of a zombie apocalypse is a reflection of the breakdown of the family. Seoul Station alludes to the end of an era of normal nuclear family and the rise of new ideas. By viewing that movie, I hope the audience will give more thought to the meaning of family and home. For me, zombies are a symbol of one's fear of society, representing inexplicable misfortunes and misery, such as when catastrophes happen, taking lives regardless of whether the people deserve to die or not. I hope my audience would enjoy my movie Seoul Station. Thank you.
너네 밀린 숙박료 안 내?
오늘 밤까지만 봐주세요.
혜선아, 이번 달만 어떻게?
몰라.
인터넷에서 혜선이 닮은 애를 좀 봐서 말이야. 뭐?
어디 가셨대? 어?
혜선이 뭐지? 어? 우리 혜선이 못 찾으면 너부터 죽자.
아저씨, 저 노숙자 아니에요.
너 가만 있어. 한 발만 움직여 싸버릴 거야.
죽어 없다는 거야. 이게 다 뭐하는 짓이야? 경찰이야!
가만 있어.
Thank you so much for joining us and telling us more about your film. Now that we've discussed some literature and films that focus on Seoul's Corner topic for the week, we'll have Kaylee delve into what is happening in Seoul, Korea right now.
Thanks for that great introduction, Hannah. Now for the analysis of the times. The post-crisis restructuring of the Korean economy is viewed as a success by some and a failure by others. There is concern about the slow growth in the economy, which causes instability and higher social inequality. The government tried to restructure the economy a couple of different times from 1998 to 2000, which resulted in unemployment and poverty mostly because of the use of irregular or not permanent workers. There was no job security for the workers. After a couple different attempts, South Korea stuck with neoliberalism, which is still prominent, and neoliberalism emerged in the early 1990s, and the government lost a lot of control of the economy during that time. In 1998, the government announced 5 principles of corporate restructuring, which were as follows. Number 1, the drastic and immediate reduction of corporate leverage. Number 2, the improvement of transparency. Number 3, the end of cross-debt guarantees by conglomerate firms. And number 4, chaebol concentration on core businesses. And number 5, the greater managerial accountability to minority shareholders. Of the 5 principles, number 4, the one that was chaebol concentration on core business, was the most popular among the public because the public held the chaebol accountable for the financial crisis, and therefore they wanted more regulation among these people. Initial recovery of the economy was due to huge foreign capital investment, and a bad side effect of this was the decline of capital accumulation, which limited Korea's growth prospects. And other concerns included the skyrocketing capital inflows, which have reinforced foreign control of the Korean economy, and this is done by foreign people controlling the investments among the economy. And also a concern is the liberalization of the international capital movements, which make it more difficult for the government to manage the economy themselves. After the crises, there are many economic slumps, including one in 2003 and the global financial crisis. The neoliberalism is causing Korea's economy and society to fragment as there is increased poverty and unemployment. The government has done little to help the people, as welfare spending makes up 10% of the government spending, which is much lower than other OECD countries. Today, South Korea economy is still growing, and it is expected to reach the 50-20 club, which is where there is a population of 50 million or more, and each is surpassing a per capita income of $20,000 US. The government cut the work week from 6 days to 5 days in 5 phases from 2004 to 2011. A huge part of the current South Korean economy is its exports, such as electronics, textiles, ships, automobiles, and steel. The import industry is mostly liberalized, except the agriculture, due to large disparities between the domestic product price and the imported product price. The relative poverty rates are still increasing in South Korea, and particularly among the elderly. Of the whole population, 14 to 15% are in relative poverty, and nearly half of the elderly are in relative poverty. This is due to both the fact that South Korean governments have low social spending or lack of welfare funding, and the fact that South Korea uses temporary workers who have only temporary contracts with low wages. Therefore, South Korean government has improved the economy by allowing foreign investments to control the economy, a lack of social spending on things like welfare, and the ability to use temporary workers who only work for a short time period and get lower wages. There are more than 11,000 homeless people in South Korea, and 40% of the homeless have expressed concern over their health due to no medical aid being given to them. The rates of homelessness are increasing just like the rates of poverty are in South Korea, and recently the government has announced that they will try to stop the homelessness in South Korea by providing housing units and medical care, which should hopefully help the homeless find jobs. That's all for me.
Thank you again for joining this week's Seoul Corner. Once again, I'm Hannah.
I'm Whitney.
I'm Kaylee.
I'm Jeanette.
And don't forget to join us next week as we talk about whether or not UCI students will pass their finals.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
To South Corner. I'm one of your co-hosts, Whitney.
I'm Hannah.
Oh, Kaylee. Kaylee. You know it was supposed to be you.
Do I cut it?
You think I look like him? Jeanette here. Joining me today on Seoul Corner is Mr. Lee.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so sorry. The book today on Seoul Corner is our renowned author Kang-kook Lee.
Thank you for having me.
I said it wrong. Lee Kang-kook, seen with another severe trial 10 years after the 1997 financial crisis. This is, of course, related to, I don't know what page is on. Pause it. Jeanette here. Joining me today on Seoul Corner is author Kang. What the?
As always, coming at you with Korea's newest
Jeanette,
and
what are you
latest-
doing?
Sorry.
You're in the
Dang it! As always, coming at you with Korea's newest and most. We go into talking about what we have to do. What? As always, coming at you with Korea's newest
Jeanette,
and
what are you
latest-
doing?
Sorry.
You're in the
Dang it!
in US dollars. The government cut a work week from 6 days to 5 in 5 phases from
After we've looked at some literature and films that focus on this hot topic for Seoul Station, Seoul Corner.